on here. So I just want to get the right number, make sure we're clear. So hopefully you had a good day right here, and you all set to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right. And so we're going to get you on here. And, of course, once again, we are recording this interview. We're going to play back at a later date. We'll send you a copy afterwards. You can pass on to family and friends and social media. And also we'll let you know in the email when the interview will air. So just want to let you know it's not going to be out right away. It's going to be recorded, and I'll send it to you, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds great.
Sounds great, okay? All right, here we go. Crow Gibson in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also on Facebook at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen to the Mike Wagner Show on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can also watch the Mike Wagner Show on YouTube as well. We're here with a very fine indie filmmaker, actress, scriptwriter, and has been involved in a number of film fests. She's out of Dallas, Texas, going from the Army over to civilian life. She's also made quite a few films, and one of them making a very big impact that is speaking out about the latest, what is happening with many military personnel, which has happened in war, and we're going to talk about that. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, live from Dallas, Texas, a very, very fine filmmaker who's won quite numerous awards with her award-winning films, and we're going to bring on, ladies and gentlemen, Crow Gibson. Crow, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. And you've been an indie filmmaker, scriptwriter, and you've been involved in a number of film fests. You've been actress in quite a few, and you served in the Army for quite some time, and you also got into filmmaking, and you also wanted to bring attention to something that has been affecting a lot of Army personnel. So first of all, before we get into that, tell us how you got started in filmmaking.
I've been a huge fan of films ever since I was a kid, and just absolutely love the stories and how they come to life through films and movies, and how they bring it together in such a visual and impactful way. And so I really just wanted to write stories for as long as I can remember, and I found a lot of things to write about, which were personally important to me, and I felt like I could make a difference through my writing and bring attention to issues that were problematic for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what were some of your favorite films and actors that you enjoyed watching and growing up watching?
I've always loved any type of war film, and I always thought they did a great job of bringing light to those stories and getting the stories out there and telling about people's heroism and just their selfless acts. And I also loved watching actors like I grew up watching Russell Crowe and actors similar to him, and watching, of course, the classics like Gladiator and Robin Hood and King Arthur and all of those kind of movies. I always had a special love for those kind of films as well.
And also, when it comes to directors and everything else, what do you think about some of the Ridley Scott films like Black Hawk Down, and there was also another one, I'm trying to remember who directed it, was Platoon, but what do you think about some of those war films?
Oh, they were incredible. I thought the way that they brought those stories to life and the way that they showed you bits and pieces of all of the characters and just the character development and the stories overall were just fantastic. And another great one that I can think of is The Hurt Locker, and it was an incredible film, just in every aspect, from cinematography to directing to the writing and the acting. It was just an incredible film, and I thought it showcased a lot of different issues. And also films like American Sniper and Thank You for Your Service were also just amazing films.
Yeah, that was one of the finer films as well, too, with American Sniper and Thank You for Your Service. And you can just tell us about the film Thank You for Your Service for those who are not familiar.
So I got a chance to go to a Q&A where the director was present, and then they had Miles Teller there as well, and they also had the actual soldier who inspired the story, and it was based on, kind of his life and true events, and it was really incredible getting a chance to be in a Q&A with those gentlemen and kind of getting their perspective, and I thought it was great that the director took such pride in bringing the story to life and keeping it true to the actual events that occurred. And I just thought it did a really great job of showcasing what a struggle PTSD can be for people and how hard it is for military personnel to transition from, getting out of the military, coming back to the civilian world.
And, of course, that's a thing you've been wanting to make light of as well, too. We're going to get to that. But first of all, tell us how you got involved with the Army and the Armed Forces as well.
My grandfather was in the Army Air Corps, and many members of my family have served in the military. And I always felt, even from a very young age, probably from the date that I remember the most is 1995. And really, I was little when the Oklahoma City bombing occurred, and I just really, I don't know, I always felt a real sense of duty and purpose and wanting to help people and wanting to be involved in the military, and I was just always drawn that direction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also as well, too, and in terms of, being in the military, of course, you went out there, signed up and everything, and you worked through the ranks. And what did you end up being, I'm just trying to put it this way, when you were discharged from the Army, what was the highest rank that you accomplished, and what were your duties?
Well, I served as a combat medic in the Army, and, I don't have a really awesome rank to talk about or anything like that. I was honorably discharged, and I was a private first class when I was discharged, but I got out because I was injured, and so I'm a disabled veteran, and so I got out before my time in service was up because my injuries prevented me from being able to finish my tour, unfortunately. But so I don't have, a great rank structure to really talk about.
And how long were you in the Army when you first started, and how long were you in it?
So I was in for 2 years before I got hurt.
Okay.
So not an enormous amount of time, but definitely long enough to see all the issues that are kind of really prevalent for both people still in the military and then those that have gotten out as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also, too, what were some of the things you have witnessed as well, too? Like, just some kind of the stories that you've had in your 2 years, yourself, being injured and everything. And what are some of life-saving experiences that you've had as well in the Army?
Well, I always wanted to join up. I actually looked at a couple other I actually looked at the Marine Corps first before I joined the Army, but they have corpsmen instead of medic, and they're through the Navy, and female corpsmen never really get a chance to go out on the line with the guys, and that's what I absolutely did not want. Like, I wanted to make a difference and be right there with those guys because I felt like that's where I could do the most good. And so I eventually wound up at the Army because that was the only place I could really choose the field that I wanted to go into, and I didn't want to do anything other than that.
Mm-hmm.
and I did some clinicals in the burn unit at the Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio during my time there, and also had some experience with some other field hospitals and whatnot as well. And the injuries that people are sustaining in today's modern warfare is just so extreme that, people are coming back without, they're missing limbs and all kinds of things. And I really want to help veterans and our service members as much as possible. And that's also part of what I'm trying to do with my filmmaking, not only to bring light to these important issues, but also to raise money for charities which benefit veterans and their families to help them overcome the obstacles that they face.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, all right, well, that sounds pretty good. I was going to get to that part, but first of all, you listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable, custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also on Facebook at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen to the Mike Wagner Show at SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and also watch the interview on the Mike Wagner Show on YouTube as well. We're here with actress Crow Gibson. She's also an indie filmmaker and producer of many films and making the transition from Army life over to civilian life and making awareness of PTSD and, of course, helping the veterans. And first of all, before we get into all that, maybe explain what PTSD stands for and what it is and how people can transition from the Army over to civilian life as well.
Definitely. So PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder, and it can manifest in all walks of life. It doesn't just affect military personnel. I mean, it can affect anyone who's been exposed to a traumatic event. But it is very prevalent amongst veterans and military service personnel just because of the nature of their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, I think it's an issue that is starting to be a little more recognized with films like Thank You for Your Service and things of that nature. But I still feel like there's a lot that people don't know and don't understand. And I feel like that's one of the biggest hurdles that we need to get over is for people to understand what PTSD is and how they can find help, not only to make people aware of what it is, but also for those suffering with it, where they can go to get help with overcoming it.
Mm-hmm. And you also did it through films as well, too. You expressed interest in films and being in the Army as well, too, and helping people. You've also expressed it through films like Black Sheep and also Skew Blue, Phantom, and Lone Wolf. And you also won quite a number of awards as well, too, especially being nominated in the Rome Independent Prism Awards, the Independent Talents International Film Fest, the Monthly Film Fest, Olympus Film Fest, also Cinefern, Beverly Hills, Vail, Star Pros, Southern California, Golden Script, and LA Live, and just many, many others. But first of all, tell us about one of your films, including Lone Wolf, for starters.
Okay, so Lone Wolf is a Western, and it has a female lead in it, and she basically loses her farm and her family to a banker tycoon type, and he pretty much just exhibits corruption at every level, and she tries to overcome the odds and moves west out to the frontier and finds herself she finds herself looking for a way to help people, and because that's a lot of what she's driven by. So she is kind of a bounty hunter type, and she goes out and gets bad guys, but instead of keeping the bounty, she gives the bounty to the members of a struggling community nearby of Frisco, Colorado, and so they're able to support themselves and get food for their families and things of that nature. And then eventually the tycoon will find her in the West, and then she's got to bring her A game to basically protect the town and the people that she's been suffering all this time.
And of course, you also got to know the movie as well as a follow-up, Phantom, as well, too, and you can also tell us a little bit about that as well.
Sure. Phantom is kind of a unique story. It has to do with an assassin, also a female lead character, but most of the characters are really intricate, each and every one of them, and it has to do with bringing some first responders into it also. There's a federal agent and then a firefighter involved in the script as well, and they work together with the assassin to save Los Angeles, which is basically being held hostage by a gentleman from Poland, and he is trying to take over and wants to get rich and doesn't care who he makes suffer to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. It almost sounds like what's happening as well too, and of course, watching the Super Bowl and how big of an importance of first responder, especially in the Verizon commercial, and why it's more vital than ever too. So that's something you want to make as where and why first responders are so important. And of course, going over to Skew Blue, which someone has the same response. You can tell us a little bit about that before we get to our other two big films you've produced.
Absolutely. Skew Blue is, it was a very therapeutic script for me, and it was really motivated by, I have a background in law enforcement as well. Been doing that for about 10 years or so, and so I really wanted to bring light to show that there are good and bad in all walks of life, because I feel like sometimes people are only seeing one side of the picture because they don't know about it all. So Skew Blue is a story about a female combat medic who loses her best friend in combat and then transitions into the civilian world and polices her city, living by her, or trying to live by her best friend's legacy, which was to bring the scales of justice back into balance. Mm-hmm. And so that is what motivates her as she goes through everything. And I dedicated that script to a friend of mine who was killed in combat in 2006. And that script is just very personal to me, and I feel like it has a very strong message as well, and it's basically just a story of diversity overcoming adversity.
Mm-hmm. And how did that affect you in terms of writing the script as well?
So I definitely had some moments where I dealt with people who were not so keen on females being in the military, and I've dealt with that a little bit in law enforcement as well too. There's some resistance there, and it's getting better. And it's not everyone. Like I said, there's always good and bad on both sides. And there were guys that I served with that were just absolutely phenomenal and totally great with the idea of females being there with them. And there were a lot more of those than not. So, but I just wanted to bring light to some of these issues and kind of show people that, yeah, discrimination does exist, but it definitely can be overcome, and there's two sides to every story.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the whole discrimination issue is getting better or worse or the same?
I think it's getting better, but then I feel like you're only hearing, I think it's getting better as far as maybe the military aspect goes, but I don't know that it's getting much better as far as law enforcement goes, because I think people hear the majority of, only the bad things. And so I think that really kind of skews their perception of it. And, definitely I think that only hearing the negative about everything can definitely change a person's perspective. And so I'm trying to combat that and show the whole side.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the current news is affecting as well too? The current
absolutely.
News media?
Absolutely. I definitely think that, the media, I'm not a political person at all, but I think the media, could do a better job of, trying to seek out not just, the bad, but also the good, and trying to, balance that instead of just always showing everything negative, instead of, the good that is actually being done as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's a very good point too. Something to be aware. We get to a couple of your recent projects as well too. First of all, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also on Facebook at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and also watch The Mike Wagner Show on YouTube as well. We're here with actress and scriptwriter Crow Gibson, also filmmaker and indie producer. She's won quite numerous awards for her work, especially being involved in the Army and also PTSD, and also with the many themes that go from military life over the civilian life and how to make issues as well, too. And we also had just trying to think, she also has a special foundation that she's involved with. But first, we're going to get to one of the current films she's got out there, and it's gotten a lot of attention, Black Sheep, and it's about a former explosive ordnance tech with the U.S. Army suffering with a life-altering injury, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about that as we progress.
Sure. Black Sheep was actually the first script that I wrote that was therapeutic. It had a little bit of some of the incidents that I dealt with in the military, and really, I just wanted to bring light to the story and show that PTSD is an obstacle that a lot of military personnel face as they, while they're still in, and then as they try to transition into civilian life. And really, it's about this explosive ordnance tech that just finds his place in the world and finds that he is still useful, even though he's not in the military anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's a story that I feel like stories like Thank You for Your Service were so powerful and just spot on. They were 100% accurate and just very well done. But I do feel like maybe there was not as much reception for those films just because maybe people didn't want to know, and so they turned a blind eye to it. So I thought maybe if I could incorporate some elements from action movies and bring, entertaining elements to it as well, maybe that would increase the audience size for it, and then it would get the message out to more people.
Mm-hmm. And how much advance has been done with PTSD, like in terms of treatment and counseling and everything? And how far do you think it has gone before there is to become a cure? And if there's about to be a cure, it's like, how long would it take?
I don't know that there will ever be a cure for PTSD, but I definitely think with the right support and the right counseling and stuff behind you, that it's definitely something that you can learn to live with. And a lot of it has to do with knowing what your triggers are and avoiding those if you can, and then letting the people around you know what's going on with you so that they can try to help you avoid those things as well. And then also, being willing to talk to people and to talk to counselors or whoever it is that you feel comfortable talking with to kind of overcome some of those issues which are causing those effects.
And where can people get this help?
So a lot of it you can get help through, there's many different organizations out there. And then also the VA is a good place to look for avenues that can help get you treatment or at least tell you where to find it. Also, any kind of psychologist or anyone like that can also help. Just any kind of counselor. And I know a lot of employers now offer employee assistance programs, things of that nature. And those services come free to the employees many times. And so they can also reach out to those. And they're anonymous, so they don't have to worry about there being any kind of judgment toward them. And there's always people out there. And then definitely, I also recommend that if you know people that are veterans or, someone that's been exposed to a traumatic event, to reach out to them and check on them regularly. And, just make an effort to be in their lives and help them in whatever way you can and let them know that you're there.
And is there financial aid that's provided for those with PTSD, or is it publicly funded, or is it funded by the government?
I know that there is some compensation for it through the VA. I know that that's dealing with PTSD, especially severe PTSD. You can definitely go to the VA and try to get disability compensation for it, and they can also get treatment for it there at the VA, at the regional medical centers. And as far as like whether those other programs, I know there are charities out there that reach out to veterans and that do provide services for them. Disabled Veterans of America is another one, and vets can reach out to their programs. Most of their programs are free. And if they're not, they can help them find somewhere. If they're not able to pay for those services, they can help them find a way to get it where it will be of no cost to them.
There's also a number of foundations as well, too, like the famous Gary Sinise Foundation, and there's quite a few others. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Gary Sinise Foundation and other foundations out there for those with PTSD.
Absolutely. The Gary Sinise Foundation is phenomenal. Gary Sinise, my hat is off to him. He's such a wonderful, respectable guy, and I just can't tell you enough how much he's done for military personnel and how much he continues to do for military personnel. And he's made a huge difference in a lot of people's lives, and I'm a huge supporter of him. Through Black Sheep, we have it entered in numerous festivals right now, and we're hoping that it can win some festivals. And in the event that it does win any festival where we get a cash prize for that, that money is going to the Gary Sinise Foundation. Because my whole reasoning for filming that, it's just a short film based on my feature screenplay by the same name. But my whole reasoning behind filming the short is because I wanted to raise money for the Gary Sinise Foundation. The Chris Kyle Frog Foundation is also another great charity that vets and people can reach out to. And definitely, if your listeners are, wanting to help vets but don't know how, they can definitely reach out to these charities, because anything that they can donate, whether it's time or money or supplies or anything of that nature, is definitely helpful to those charities.
And of course, if people want to send in money to help out with the foundations, where can they send it and how?
Absolutely. So the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation and the Gary Sinise Foundation, as well as most other veterans charities, they do have websites. And so I know that you can make donations through there. And you can also find other resources for them. I know that the Gary Sinise Foundation is on Twitter and Facebook as well. So they can, and they're very good about answering. So even if you send them a message or an email, they can definitely tell you where to go to if you're interested in helping out those charities.
That is amazing, too. And I just feel really moved by, what you're doing as well. And I think inside I'm just starting to get emotional about the whole thing. It's just what you're doing is great. And let's get to know the film as well, too, that you appearing as well, too, with your husband, Dallas, and you also starring Jenna Grant and Connor Grant, The Last Night. And it's about, after Will fell in the darkness, a family fighting back. And you can just tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So that was my family, all of us, those are my kids, and they're into films as well. And so we just wanted to do something where we could include our kids because our scripts are very heavy and, not really suitable for children. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to do a project where our kids could get involved and be part of that process and kind of see how it all works and how it all comes together. So that's why we decided to make that film, and it's actually done pretty well in the festival circuit also. And so we're hoping that it will continue to do well, and it was just a really fun experience to do with our kids.
It really sounds like it. It's a great way for a family to come together. Now, with some of the life experiences what you had, maybe you can give one life experience like in a movie, like in Phantom, also in Black Sheep, Last Night, and also I think you have Skew Blue, maybe one experience you had in the Army that ties in to one of the movies.
Sure. So in Skew Blue, there's a part when the female combat medic, she is basically trying to make it through basic training, and she's doing fine, managing, and then she manages to break her foot during the last major build exercise of basic training, and she basically has to do this ruck march, like 20 miles, and with a broken foot, and and that's based on my own experiences because that happened to me, and I've had people read the script and they're like, that's just not believable, and I kind of chuckle at that because it's true because I lived it. And I know it sounds unbelievable, and they have a hard time believing that because they're like, what would be your motivation for doing that? But basically, it's like the end of basic training, and if you don't finish that event, you got to start all over, and I wasn't going to do that. So I just kind of dealt with it and made it through. It was very, very hard. It's probably one of the hardest things that I've done, and I don't know. I was just motivated to get done with basic training. So
I think that sounds very interesting too, and teaching people that you don't give up, based on your experience, people, what they always say, they tend to question, especially those with PTSD, whether it's true or not. But I think you give a really good account, and maybe another experience I had in one of your other films as well. And I think we covered Black Sheep, if I'm right, maybe like in Skew Blue and, Lone Wolf and Phantom. I think there's also maybe a few more. You could also get to talk about how they're tied into the films with your life experience.
Sure. So in Black Sheep, there is a part where a soldier is basically threatening the medic who's trying to save the EOD tech because he feels that the EOD tech is beyond saving, and the medic decides that he disagrees, and so he stays put and continues to aid the EOD tech, and the superior officer of this soldier threatens to shoot him, but the medic will not budge, and he just stays put. And I thought I've dealt with superior officers that made light of how dangerous deployment is, and basically, saying that, oh, well, we're deploying, and, you've got all these really young kids that are, scared to death, and, this superior officer saying, oh, well, half of you will die, but that's less people. I got to stand in line behind at the PX, which is basically like a military supermarket. And that's not the way to motivate troops. There's a difference between being in charge and being a leader. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to make that evident and showing that, leadership is not something that is necessarily there for people that are in charge.
Mm-hmm. That is a really good point too. And of course, you were talking about being in deployment and how dangerous it is. What do you consider your experience with death, like a near-death experience? What do you consider, we're already at a point where you're in your most dangerous situation?
Well, I don't have like great stories. Like, they're not anything compared to other people's experiences. When I got injured in the military, I broke like my whole lower half, and so trying to come back from that and trying to overcome those injuries, like I'm still dealing with those injuries now, even 10 years later, I'm still dealing with all of that. And sometimes it is a very hard struggle to do that, because you are in just constant pain all the time, and you're trying to take care of your family, you're trying to make films, work a full-time job, get your degree, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be extremely difficult, but you just have to find something to hold on to, and that's my biggest recommendation to anyone dealing with PTSD or any kind of disability. And even if they feel like they're alone, they're not, because even if they don't have necessarily a family or a great support system, there are tons of other disabled people out there that are going through the same thing. And so if they can find a way to reach out to those people, and then that way they can find someone who understands what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be very helpful to them.
It sounds like you've got something going as well, too, besides with those films as well, too. What are some of your upcoming projects, and what do you have going on right now in terms of films?
We're trying to decide on what our next filming project is going to be as far as our short film. We may do a short film based on one of my husband Dallas's scripts. So we may do a short film of his. I just finished writing another script called Rebel Tides, and it's doing pretty well so far in the festival circuit. And it's a dystopian modern warfare meets medieval kind of story, but it's really about brotherhood and the freedom from oppression is really what it is about.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be published and available on Amazon on the 15th of February. And then I've got a couple more scripts that I'm writing right now. But we'll probably start filming something again soon. And, of course, we're trying to get Black Sheep out there and trying to hopefully it'll win in some places, and then we can donate, those funds to the Gary Sinise Foundation.
Mm-hmm. And where can we see your movies at?
So all of our movies, or all of our films that we've done so far, are available on our YouTube channel at Mad Cody Films, and then they can also be found on our website, which is madcodyfilms.com. And there's links in there to all of our different videos in our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook page and our Twitter page and our Instagram pages also.
It sounds like you got a lot going on as well, too, and I'm very motivated to take a look. What do you consider your most favorite project of all the films you've done? And, of course, besides you've already talked about your challenges and your most memorable moments, what do you consider your favorite project?
So my favorite project as far as filming goes so far is definitely it's definitely been Black Sheep. Our actors were just so absolutely amazing. They came together and they were the best. They came and they just gave it 110%, and they really brought the script to life, and it was just really great watching them bring that together and bring it to life, and they were just so fun to work with. So I really think that's my favorite project so far that we've been working on.
That sounds amazing too. And who do you consider your biggest influence in your career?
I really don't know. I'm motivated by a lot of different things and a lot of different people. I guess my kids are one of my hugest motivations because I've always had a love for doing this, but always felt like it was kind of out of reach. And because trying to break into this industry and this market is so difficult. And so I always felt a little down on myself, like maybe, it's not really possible. But my kids are the motivation to keep going and to keep pushing and to try to get these stories out there so that I can help people and raise money for charities and show them that, if you will put in the hard work and the dedication and remember, where you came from and what you're trying to do by doing this, then, you can succeed.
And what do you consider your best advice when it comes to getting into filmmaking?
The best advice I can give anybody who wants to get into filmmaking is just get out there and do it. It doesn't matter what kind of equipment you have or, who you have to work with you or not. Just getting out there and doing it, because on every single project you learn so much from, the mistakes that you make and things that you come across, because being a director, things are constantly coming up and getting in the way. And so being a director is part of being really good at that, is being able to overcome those obstacles and being able to adapt to the situation. And, the best advice I can give to people is just be kind and supportive of everybody that you meet, because supporting another's success won't ever dampen yours.
Mm-hmm. That sounds amazing, too. And before we let you go, we know you're very busy. Tell us once again, where can we find your films, and where can people help for those with PTSD, and where can people donate, and where to get help, and also give everybody your website, and how can people reach you if they have any questions?
Absolutely. So you can find us on Twitter at Mad Cody Films. You can find us on Facebook at Mad Cody Films. Our website, madcodyfilms.com. Our Instagram is the Mad Cody Films. And then I've got a Twitter page at Crow Gibson. My personal email is crowgibson@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer anybody's email. So they're always welcome to send me an email, and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. They're also welcome to reach out to me on Facebook. My Facebook is at Crow Gibson, and as well as my Twitter is also at Crow Gibson. And you can reach out to the Gary Sinise Foundation, as well as the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation. There are tons of other charities out there. There's Veterans of Foreign Wars, and the VA is always available too. They have, 24-hour hotlines for, anybody who's feeling like they can't go on and feeling like harming themselves. The VA has a 24-hour hotline for that. And definitely, if you're needing help, reach out to somebody, because there is somebody in your life that cares about you, and you can overcome this and make a difference. And let's see how we can help you get over this, and move forward with your life. So definitely, and you can find us also on our YouTube channel, which is at Mad Cody Films, and all of our emails and everything, as well as all of our other social media pages. You can find them on our website, which is madcodyfilms.com. There's links in there to everything, and you can also email us directly from our website. So if you want to get in touch with us, just shoot us an email and we'll get back to you.
That sounds amazing. And I have to say one thing. You've been a huge inspiration, Crow, and making everybody aware of all the challenges and struggles and everything. You're making light of it. You've got some excellent work. And, Crow, just want to say thank you very much for being on our program. Look forward to having you on again soon, and keep this up to date with all your projects. And I just want to say you are one very courageous person who I've talked to. You've been the best.
I really appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You've been listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios at themikewagnershow.com. Visit sonicwebstudios.com today for all your web design needs. If you would like to be a sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, call or text at 701-301-7705 or email to Mike at themikewagnershow.com. If you're a listener and would like to support our program, visit themikewagnershow.com and click on the support button and donate today. Thanks for listening, and tune in again next time on The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com.